retail's done. You've been way ahead of the ball game. It's all about e-commerce, all about just being able to ship your product all over. And you've been doing the right thing. Why would you want to step back?
Hey everyone, it's Nicole B, the Chief Pretty Chick in charge at ShopPrettyPieces.com.
Hey, this is Rolando with Global Tech Worldwide.
Hey, this is Daniel Lederstein with Big Eye.
And you are listening to...
And you're watching...
And you're listening to the Ecomm Show.
Welcome to the Ecomm Show, presented by BlueTuskr, the #1 place to hear the inside scoop from other e-commerce experts, where they share their secrets on how they scaled their business and are now living the dream. Now, here is your host, Andrew Math.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ecomm Show. I'm your host, Andrew Math, and today I am joined by Kimberly Aya of FunCakes. Kimberly, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. Super excited to have you on the show. I'm obviously a big fan of Shark Tank, which I know you were on, and it's always fun things to chat about to see how things have been going since then and all that fun stuff. But let's pretend that no one knows who you are, and why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself and about FunCakes?
So I've been doing cakes since I was like 8 years old, and then I had a bakery in Europe. And I called that one FunCakes because the cakes in Europe were just like a tart with fruit on top. And I just didn't think like a 5-year-old kid would want that at his birthday cake. So I thought, he needed fun things like Spider-Man and Superman. So my cakes were fun. So therefore I called it FunCakes. And then we moved back to the States. And so I decided that I was tired doing buttercream. I really wanted to work with fondant, and that's a whole new medium to learn. So once I learned it, I signed up for a bridal show and went to the bridal show with fake cakes. I mean, that's what a baker does. They take fake cakes and then they let you see your work and see what you think about your work. And so I was working on getting a shop, but I had to convert it into a kitchen, so a certified kitchen, right? So I needed, the triple sink and the stove and, all the things. So I went and set up at the bridal show, came back home because the show started at 5. And the realtor called me cussing at me. Like, what was I waiting for? And why hadn't I beep signed the lease? And he just went on this rant of screaming at me and cussing. So when he got done and paused, I said, I'm no longer interested. So now I had to go to the bridal show without a shop, without anything. But at the bridal show, all the brides asked if they could use my fake cakes. And it was like, well, why would you do that? And how does that work? And so they taught me my entire business. And then I just needed an office space. So it's like, okay, let's do this. And now I don't have to work in just my town. I can ship them and I can be an e-commerce company. So that was 15 years ago.
Wow. That's very interesting. So I believe the cakes themselves still have like your traditional fondant on them, even though they're foam inside, correct? Yep. And you don't need to have a commercial kitchen for that aspect of it?
No, because they're not edible. You need a commercial kitchen. You need to be certified if you're eating it. And then, how do you wash everything up? But I just have tools to wash up. I don't have pans and mixing bowls. And so all the work of a bakery, all those dishes, I don't have any of them. Nope. Yeah.
So since you started, and obviously since you were on national television, have you started to see any competition come in or anything like that?
A few people have copied me on Etsy. I will say that. There were a couple of actual like websites like mine that have since closed down, mainly due to COVID.
Yeah.
COVID has really hurt the wedding business and the event planning business. So I really don't have much competition even today, except for Etsy.
What did you do during COVID that I assume that affected you as well?
I moved to Florida.
Well, there you go.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
And I put the FunCake stuff down going, why did I move all this? But then it started back up again last summer. So that was super.
Yeah. So did you just kind of more or less put FunCakes on hold until COVID kind of cleared a little bit?
Yep, absolutely. It was a good time to reorganize, move, figure out, where did I want to be, redo my website. It was a good break. I mean, when you've been doing it 15 years, it was actually a great break because, do you want to keep doing it? Do you still love it? And of course, I still love it. So, wanted to keep doing it. So it made you reflect on a lot of things. So I think it was good. Definitely.
What's your primary marketing strategy? Is it going to different shows and showcasing it at conferences and events, things like that? Or is it mostly still on the digital side of social media advertising, all that fun stuff?
Absolutely. All social media.
Yeah.
Yep. Just to, post a cake and then boost it out and pay to spread it. And it's more than I ever got before social media, before social media went crazy, what I would pay for magazines and things like that. It's still your best dollar. And then you can choose your budget. Like if it's a fantastic cake, you're going to want to choose your budget like a whole lot higher. And if it's just a rum-dum cake, nothing, spectacular, then you don't have to do your budget. I love the freedom of that. And there's no, print ad and, getting it all okayed. And that's a lot of work, all that, where this is just take a snapshot with your iPhone and put it on social media.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Yeah.
So I know that there's in the cake itself, there's like a little kind of compartment to actually do a traditional cake so they can still cut it, correct? And then you do the sheet cake in the back and everything. Do you also provide the actual cake that's put in there, or does it come with just like a cutout area that you show them how to basically add it in?
So I send instructions with the cake. So it's a flap that's cut. And so they just lift up this flap, pull out the styrofoam wedge, put in 3 Twinkies, put the flap back down. There's a bow there to like hide it and conceal it. And also they know where to cut. And then they just can cut in and get their first bite. Because even if it's a real cake and, the real cake is on display at the wedding or at the party, they're going to take their first bite and then the cake's going to go to the back.
Yeah.
And then somebody cuts it all up in the back and you pay a lot of money for that. You pay between $1 and $2 a slice for somebody to cut it and slate it. Where if it's a sheet cake, there's no talent in cutting a sheet cake. So then the venues aren't charging for that, which is fabulous. So you save on that end as well.
So I'm sure you got this question a lot and probably still do, but why don't you tell us a little bit about the experience of going through Shark Tank and what happened and where you're at now compared to where you were then?
Okay. Shark Tank, I did Shark Tank just for fun because I knew the future of FunCakes was going into grocery stores. Because grocery stores offer cakes and some offer wedding cakes, most do not. Even if a grocery store offers a wedding cake, they have to find that person who's competent enough to be able to decorate it. And then how do you deliver it? So like a 3-tiered cake, the bride goes to the grocery store and picks it up and hopes that they can balance it, going home. So I knew our goal was to be in the grocery stores, and there is no grocery store shark. Which is really interesting because they've started up like on Food Network. They've started different, like similar shows in just the grocery market. So I just sort of went for fun. I just thought that it would be a good experience for me to give, evaluation. I have to say I'm really artistic, so I don't really think about the whole bean counting end of the business. So that was good for me to have to, figure all that out. And I just knew it would be fun. And it was. It was really, really fun. And I did not get a deal because there is no sharks that do grocery stores.
Yeah.
And I expected that. But for me, especially being a woman, I think when you're a woman and then you own a cake business, they're like, oh, that's nice. So it's like, no, really, like I own this real business, and they're like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then when you say, well, I've been on Shark Tank, then they're like, oh, so you mean you have a real business? I'm like, that's what I was trying to tell you. So I think for that standpoint, it's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful to go into grocery stores and to say that I have been on Shark Tank.
Are you now available in grocery stores?
I was before COVID. And then after COVID, everything got canceled. So now I have to reevaluate, do I want to start that up again or just go through Amazon? And I'm sort of leaning towards Amazon because it's a whole lot less paperwork.
That is true. So you are obviously, as you said, now available on Amazon. Is that starting to be your top revenue driver, or is it still your website?
Still my website.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
I think brides are, I think in anything in America, what makes America great is we have alternatives. We have lots of alternatives, and we have different choices on any one thing, where you want to live, what you want to pay for a home. Do you want a new home, a used home? Do you want to rent? So there just was no options with wedding cakes. Your only option was to go to cupcakes. And I'm sorry, but cupcakes belong at a birthday party. They do not belong at a wedding cake, at a wedding. Absolutely not. The people peeling the paper off and all that. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. So I think that, brides go on the website and search for different alternatives, and then I come up.
Mm-hmm.
So
you mentioned some similar shows on Food Network that I'm not too familiar with. Have you reached out and tried to get on those shows as well?
I think they were very short-lived. I watched some, and when I signed the contract with Shark Tank, I wasn't allowed to go on anything else.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
They have the contract was 50 some pages, and wording from here to the universe and beyond was a lot of the wording. And I sent it to my lawyer, and he was like, yeah, don't sign that. And so I did, because, I'm always one to take a risk. So to have fun. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could have gone on. I think now I could. I think enough years has passed that I could now, but then I couldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Did they, I read somewhere that they take a percentage just for being on the show. Is that accurate? Do they take anything if you at all just for being on the show? Is there any kind of fee behind it?
The only thing was, it was interesting because, they covered your plane ticket, they covered your hotel, they covered your transportation everywhere. You got the day off before you filmed so that you could go to the beach or do whatever you want. But they didn't pay to ship your product there. And so once you aired, they bring in this shrink, to make sure you're okay and you're not going to commit suicide or something like that. And then, after she saw we were okay and no problems, then she's like, so do you have anything you'd like to suggest? And I'm like, yeah, you should pay to ship our product. I mean, I understand some people have a big product, but at least say, $2,000 we give you to ship your product and bring it back, something like that. So that was our only expense, was shipping the display cakes that were on the show and then shipping them back. And the one I did of the sharks. So that's how I got on the show, was I kept watching the show, and then I read up a lot about it. And it said that, so many people apply. Your hardest part is just to get noticed.
Yeah.
If you can get noticed, then it's either they like your product or not. But getting noticed is your biggest hurdle. So I made a cake. So I made a 5-tiered cake with sharks fins on it, and all the sharks, I made them out of gum paste on it, and then just mailed it with the application. And so I saw on my phone, it had arrived. And then 2 hours later, they called me and they're like, so who are you working with here? And I'm like, no one. And they're like, okay, well, you made it. You're on. So it was that quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Which was really cool. But, who rents a cake? I mean, now I don't rent them anymore due to COVID, but still, I knew that I would get on because they show well. That's important. It's a TV show. So it needs to show well, and it needs to be something different.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't take that cake back. They had to have that cake. I had put the ABC logo on it. I had to remove that, and then they had to keep it, which I thought was funny. Fine, whatever.
Fine. A lot of people that are on the show, whether they get a deal or they don't, they all tend to see a pretty significant spike when their show airs. And then again, if it re-airs, you kind of see some trickle in as well. What was that like when that went through for you?
It was crazy, just like they said. Like I had prepared because they had said that. So I had brought in extra people to be able to answer emails, extra stations. So everybody had, a desk and a computer and whatever, so that we could answer them quickly. And then every time it airs, I know it's aired because all of a sudden I'll get emails. So they pretty much air it like every May and June again as a rerun. So then I'll all of a sudden get all these emails going, wow, what's going on? I'm like, oh, must have aired on Shark Tank again. Yeah. So that's super. And that's been 7 years or something that I keep getting, all this free advertising.
Yeah.
Which that was the other interesting thing when we went. So they had all the companies in one of the hangars there, the filming area. And they said, now, if you get a deal, be sure when your shark calls you to take that phone call. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't you take that phone call? I don't get it. So they said that a lot, like a whole lot of the people, like over 50% that get a deal, never want a deal. They just want to be on the show and they want to air. So then when the shark calls and it's like, okay, let's start our due diligence and make sure I want to go through with this, they never even pick up the phone. And I never even thought of that. That's like advertising to a whole new level, in my opinion.
Yeah. So there's no clause in the contract or something that whatever is verbally agreed upon at the show is set?
Nope.
Hollywood.
So it took 3 months of them working with what we said when we walked in. And so we would have to videotape it once a week, send it to them, and then they would tweak it and change it. So we did that for about 3 months, along with sending all our financials, all our everything. So they said that if you got a deal, then the real due diligence starts, because now the shark will contact you. And then now you really go through all the numbers and the bean counting to make sure they want to go. So just because they shake your hand and say, yeah, we have a deal, more than 50% of those don't even go through. Yeah. Because the people have exaggerated their numbers when they went out. They made things look better than they were. And so then once the sharks see everything, they're like, yeah, we're not interested. So it's a TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
How many companies do we know that have done really, really well from Shark Tank? Not that many.
That's a good point. Compared to how many have been on the show. That's a very good point.
And how many deals they made. Yeah. There should be hundreds of companies that are just doing fantastic from the Shark Tank. And there isn't. There's a handful. So that sort of tells you something too.
Yeah.
But it's a great show. And I think for any entrepreneur, it's a great show to watch, to learn. I watched it for all the years up to I applied. Now I don't watch it because it makes me mad.
Yeah. That was gonna be my question, is based on what they said about your product line and everything, did you get any advice from them? You're like, okay, that does make sense. Or was it all just frustrating to hear?
I don't think I really got any negative feedback at all. I think that they're so rich that they couldn't understand why you would need this business. To be honest with you, they were like, yeah, of course you spend $3,000 on a cake. Why not? They just thought that was normal. And then the one grocery store I was supposed to be going into, the CEO had gotten fired just before I went to air. So I ended up getting in the grocery store, but I wasn't in it when I went to air. And Lori had nothing nice to say about that grocery store. And it's owned by New Albertsons. That's a big chain grocery store. So I just found they didn't understand why anybody would need that.
Yeah. You mentioned about the bean counting, which isn't not your favorite thing to do. No. So what is your day-to-day like? How many people are on staff that work with you? Who handles all the stuff that you don't like doing?
Oh yeah, I don't do any of that. No. I decorate the cakes.
Yeah.
I have a couple of people that help me with the emails. I try to do most of the emails myself because we've had I think we only had one time where one of the girls promised something that we weren't able to give. So, then the bride got upset because we were able to give that. And then we have about 20 different decorators. And then I just have accountants who come in and go through my QuickBooks, some that put it in, and then other ones that come and take care of all of that and then do my taxes. I pay to have all that done.
Yeah.
That's nothing I'll do.
Yeah.
No, I'm very good though at figuring out what my costs are and what my labor are and what I should be charging. To me, that's really basic because, that is a hard part of a business is to figure out what you should charge. So that I've had no problem with, but then getting it into QuickBooks and then getting all the taxes, like I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
There's people. For that.
Yeah. Do you have anyone on staff or are they all contractors right now?
Contractors. Yeah.
Who handles your marketing side?
Oh, the marketing side? I do the marketing myself. I always have. Nice. I tried hiring people and it made no sense to me because they would be like, okay, so send me all the cakes you want to post. Well, if I'm sending it to you, why don't I just post it? That just didn't, it was like double duty, Yeah. And I'm not a real morning person. Like I always get up like 2 hours before, my office hours are 11 to 6, not a morning person. Yeah. And I want to work out in the morning. So to me, just while you're having a cup of coffee, you just go through and do all your social media. I just didn't get why to hire that. Now I hire people to do my website. I hire people to do my SEOs. I hire for all that. But what actually goes on the social media, I've always done it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a mistake. It could be. I'm not saying that it's the right way. It's just been my way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all depends, right? Like it kind of depends on what your goals are with the business. Like if you're happy with where it's at and you want to keep it kind of just maintaining as it's been going, keep it as kind of a lifestyle business, constantly outsourcing stuff can get expensive and it's not entirely necessary. But what about what's your goal what's the end goal with the business? Are you planning on growing it and giving it to someone? Do you want to one day sell it?
I have no idea.
Haven't thought through that yet?
I don't. I think about that often. The goal was to keep getting in all the grocery stores, and then I figured I'd be bought out. I just figured that was the natural course it would go, but COVID ruined all that. Yeah. So now I don't know. And the weddings are really small now. The prices that I'm finding that I need to charge less, which my products have gone up. So I think the economy right now, I just don't know. We have to see what is this going to be after COVID, after the inflation stabilizes. Unfortunately, I think most brides are doing away with a cake. I really do. Or they're doing a 1 or 2 tiered cake and then doing like a sweet table where they have all the different cookies and different pastries and the whole cake is sort of dying. So I don't know the answer to that question. It's really hurt the whole bakery. Bakery has gone to like little things, where you're not getting together with a big party anymore, but you might be getting 4 people together. So you need something that feeds 4 people. So all bakeries have changed as well as to where it's going. Yeah. And I don't know if that's going to stay that way. I just don't know.
Well, with the state of everything that's going on right now, like is inflation causing issues with, some of your supply? Are you having issues with supply chain of getting stuff over here? Like how's the current state?
I'm able to get everything I need, but styrofoam is made with, oil. So styrofoam has gone way up in prices. And then shipping those, I used to live in Michigan and there was a company right down the road that did all my styrofoam. So like, for instance, when we did the Hangover movie, they had called 2 months previous to figure out how the business works, but then they forgot to order. And then they called the day of and said, so it's shipping out, right? And I'm like, no, you never ordered. So because the company was right down the road, I was able to get all the styrofoam, get everything. But due to COVID, they're no longer, their business of styrofoam went into trailers. and went into mobile homes. So all the people that they used to service in Michigan, they don't service anybody anymore. They're overwhelmed with the trailers. So then I had to find new styrofoam people, which I did. It's not a problem, but then they have to ship it. So you're paying more for the styrofoam and then you're paying to ship it. So my prices have gone up. Bonded has stayed pretty much the same. Labor has gone up. So my prices have gone up, but yet everybody's wanting to pay less.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
You had mentioned right before we started, something had happened in Michigan about what happened there?
So I would get lots of phone calls from the local town that I lived in, wondering if they could get real cakes. And I would be like, no, I don't have, a triple sink. I don't have a certified kitchen. We only do fake cakes. So my original goal when I opened FunCakes was to do real cakes, and it sort of fell into this fake cake. So I thought, well, maybe I could open up a retail shop and do both. So there was a organization in our town called Start Garden. Start Garden, I think is what it was called. So anyways, Betsy DeVos's son ran it. And then companies would go in front of him and a whole committee, sort of like a Shark Tank, with a business plan and what they wanted to do. So we had a meeting with them and went in and showed them that, we wanted to open a retail business and why we wanted to do it. And they just laughed us back. It was just such a crazy reaction. And they're like, no, retail's done. You've been way ahead of the ball game. It's all about e-commerce, all about just being able to ship your product all over. And you've been doing the right thing. Why would you want to step back and then now be the little bakery in town? And it's like, well, I wasn't going to give up the fake cakes. I was just going to do both. And they're like, no, that's a really silly idea, which that cracked me up. So it was like, okay, I guess this is what I keep doing.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because I know obviously a lot of e-commerce sellers, they like the idea that they don't have a store and maybe they just don't want to deal with it. But if you are okay with dealing with it, you can double your store as also your fulfillment center and be able to do everything out of there while also benefiting from some possible foot traffic. So
exactly. And I would have given more, business, more people could be employed. And that's exactly what I was trying to do. I had the location picked out and it actually wasn't all in the same building, but I was only like a block apart. Yeah. So that it was really easy. Everything could be shipped to the one building and carried over to the other. And the staff could go back and forth as well. Because I think when you're a cake baker, that's what you've always done. So it's kind of, when the brides asked to use my display cakes, because that realtor had been cussing at me, I was like, okay, let's try it for a year. I'll just try it for a year and we'll see where we're at. Hoping to eventually open the bakery. And then it just kept growing and growing. So I never lost that desire to open a bakery. So that's why I went to them. Yeah. And they're like, no, you don't want a retail shop. Retail's done. You want to stay as an e-commerce.
So now that you're in Florida, are you going to try again?
No.
Nope.
It's all going to melt here. I'm going to have
That's a good point.
I'm going to have to really learn. I've talked to the bakers down here and, over the years, I've become, for myself personally, I'm a vegan now. So I would have a hard time with the milk and the eggs. And then, they're having to make their buttercream with shortening so that it doesn't melt. They can't use butter. And I mean, shortening's one, DNA away from plastic. Where's that going in your body? And I couldn't promote it anymore. I couldn't. I teach at the Visual Arts Center here in Florida, and I teach cake decorating and all that. And it's I try to be really quiet when it comes to making the frosting because, I'm against it all. So I just give them lots of recipes and lots of options. They can use all egg whites, they can use shortening, they can use butter. And then I just try to keep my mouth closed because I don't eat cake anymore. So yeah, it's
fun fact.
It's kind of difficult.
That's amazing. Look, obviously, Kimberly, really appreciate having you on the show. It was a great time. I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Appreciate it.
I would love for you to take a second, let everyone know where they can find out more about you and more about FunCakes.
So our website is cakerental.com, and following FunCakes at Cake Rental is most of our social media as well. So yeah, I would love to hear from the listeners. Tell me what they think. Should I, go back into retail? What should I do? How should I end this eventually? So yeah, I would love to hear everybody's feedback. Please give a shout out to me. That'd be great.
Perfect. You hear that? Reach out. Let her know.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining the show. Of course, everyone who tuned in, thank you as well. Please make sure you rate, review, subscribe on whichever podcast platform you want, or YouTube, or at ecommshow.com. But for usual, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the Ecomm Show.